Hello everyone, welcome back to the RedVsRed podcast, the Manchester United fan channel that you all know and love. We are looking forward to getting involved in all of the topics for today. We're going to be talking about the result against Aston Villa, which just drew 0-0, getting a live reaction from us and getting involved in what's happening, really. Is that a good result for United? Is it a bad result for United? Let us know in the comments. We're going to break it down. But yeah, thanks for joining. Make sure you hit the follow button or subscribe button wherever you're watching. Show your support. We get to 100. We start a community in Discord and we start interacting with you from there. So make sure you show your support. But yeah, I'm TheSaffronMan, and with me, we've got my friend Sporadiclese. How you doing, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, doing well. I think it's been a day, I suppose. Could be better, could be worse. So altogether, not super mad with everything going on. So I'm really excited to dig into it with you.
Well, let's get no further ado. Let's jump straight on into it, man. And look, we've got the lineup there. You did a video yesterday where you did a predicted lineup. You were kind of shocked this morning when your centre backs weren't picked, and we had Maguire and Johnny Evans starting instead of De Ligt and Martinez. Ultimately, I can kind of see that from the off, and I understood the reason, but you're a bit shocked. So talk to me about that. Why was you a bit shocked?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in terms of building the team that we intend to use long term, I don't think that I don't know that Johnny Evans and Maguire were really, what we would have picked, or I would have picked at least at the very beginning of the season, to say that this is what we're going to move forward with. And so these are the types of games against an away game against Aston Villa. They're not a bad team. They've done really well so far this season. For me, I expect to play, who I would intend to see as a long-term partnership in these types of games, just so that they can have those shared experiences and, a little bit of adversity that they need to be facing. And so, if you look at the depth chart, I think that Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans would probably, assuming that everyone is fit, would be probably number 5 and 6 in terms of where they rank in our list of center backs.
That's pretty harsh. Who's your 1 to 4?
Martinez, De Ligt, Euro. Honestly,
You can't put Euro in front of Maguire and Johnny Evans when he hasn't even made an appearance.
Would. I absolutely would long term, assuming that everyone is healthy. Yes, I would put Euro in because we've tried to offload Maguire. Johnny Evans has been a stopgap for the last season as well as this.
He's been more than a stopgap. I mean,
I think he's intended to be a stopgap.
But he's turned out to be a real crucial part of our defence. Like today,
he has.
I mean, we'll go into it further on, but today he was the man of the match. Like.
Absolutely, he was.
He was defending and then bolting forward 40 yards, trying to attack, like running through. He just kind of led from example. And I think that's a really good decision, man management decision from Erik ten Hag. Martinez and De Ligt haven't been performing above and beyond like they have done. They haven't quite clicked as a partnership just
Very
as
true.
yet.
Yes.
But Johnny Evans and Maguire's been at United how many years? How much abuse has he gone through? From poor form and good form. He's been there and done it and seen it all. Johnny Evans, I don't know what he's drinking, but he needs to drink more of it. Because, they both led from example today, which De Ligt and Martinez really haven't,
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's a great performance by him. But again, I think start of the season, you look at the squad, or even in preseason, you look at that squad and you say, I would be picking Lenny Yoro over those two because we brought him in to be someone that we do develop and really give him that experience in playing in the Premier League and developing him as a future player for us, as opposed to Johnny Evans and Maguire, who are, to your point, veterans. And at this point, I mean, with all the flack that Maguire's gotten over the years, I think that he's kind of become that player that just wants to be that kind of centering force, right? That I don't want to try too hard because I create a lot of mistakes, but I don't want to, I'm obviously not going to fall off because that's just not my mentality. I think his mentality is there. We haven't always seen the quality that we would expect from him. But I mean, this season, I'd say that he's been one of our more consistent defenders in terms of results that he's getting and how he's performed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just solid. I mean, they put themselves on the line, and I know DeLitt and Martinez both kind of do that in their own way, but they're not as committed or as experienced, obviously, as Maguire or Evans yet. They're using their previous know-how to get the most out of each situation, and again, I think Johnny Evans picked up like an injury within like 10 minutes or something. You thought, oh, okay, he's going to have to come off. And he just soldiered on pretty much all game, which was just amazing to see. And, towards the end of the first half, when he actually went down with a knee injury, I was like, oh, okay, he's definitely going to come off now. And then Maguire got injured and had to go off. And it was very strange. But they put themselves about, and they're in the wars. And they literally play for the badge and play for the fans. And that's all that we ask for. So the fact that we saw that today, for the first time in probably a couple of weeks, not just from defenders, but from players in general, it was a vital decision from Erik ten Hag. And the result, we got a result today, 0-0 against a top 6 club. And I think Erik ten Hag, that decision of those centre-backs starting against Villa, possibly saved him his job. So when people say that he's not making the right decisions, or we have to give credit where credit is due, is what I'm trying to say. We're all very on top of things when he takes off Rashford, for rotational purposes in a European game, but we have to give him praise when he makes a decision which people like yourself were surprised at, but ultimately it was the right call that got the job done.
Also, footnote: this guy right here, this was actually Garnacho starting, not Antony. So
that's my bad. I think I'd done that one. Unless you sent me
and
the
that's
wrong
okay.
One? I don't know.
No, well, I don't believe so. Let's see. No, you sent me Antony.
No, I did send you Antony. Yeah.
Minor details. That was Garnacho starting, not Antony. Although Antony did come on, and honestly, he didn't put a lot of. He didn't really put his feet wrong too much. I would say that he was energetic. He was lively. He had a decent effort on goal as well, and forced Emi Martinez into a rather exaggerated save, perhaps.
I wouldn't say exaggerated. That was a great catch. How often do you see a goalkeeper catch? That ball from Antony was high, it was curling, it was going in. It just so happened that Martinez was a foot or two in front of his line, which allowed him the space to grab up and actually dive for the ball. I think it was a good save, well positioned,
and
good
you're the
catch.
goalkeeping expert, not me, so...
I just like goalkeepers catching the ball. Onana had a free kick, and he saved it. It wasn't a free. It was Tielemans outside the box, square to Tielemans. Tielemans hit it first time. It was kind of mid to top left-hand corner, but it was high. And Onana gets his hands up and he parries it away with both hands. Now, when you can parry that parry, no matter where you parry it, it can go anywhere. It can drop to anyone. It can go to anyone's feet and create another opportunity. But he could have caught it. And I hate it when goalkeepers have the opportunity to catch the ball, but then don't catch the ball. Whereas Martinez, is a great catch. Onana could definitely do a little bit more of that. And not just Onana. Goalkeepers in general could catch the ball a lot more often. But back to your point, that was a great strike from Antony. I thought it was a good save. But Antony, like you said, was very lively today, huh?
Yeah. I mean, tracking back on defense whenever he needed to. He actually looked, he looked like a bright little substitute. I think that he gets a lot of flack for all of the spinning that he can tend to do, but there was no extracurriculars in that department. All of the turns that he was making were really smart turns, and diverting pressure off of him and allowing him to hold up the ball. So, I mean, altogether, I mean, if that's the Antony that we were to see on a regular basis, I mean, I could see him getting results and getting some starts, but, he's going to have that opportunity. And it's a little bit difficult whenever you have somebody young and hungry like Amad Diallo. You got Garnacho that's been waiting for his opportunities on the left-hand wing and has been getting rotated to the right. But I mean, again, just like the presence of mind, his ability to cut in, all of those things that I think we brought Antony in to do, I feel like he kind of did a little bit better job of today. A lot of the opportunities that he's taken cutting in and shooting towards that back post all last season, just very, very wide of the mark. So, it's only one opportunity, but that one opportunity that he had today, looked leaps and bounds better than all of last season. I mean, he's only got 1 goal and 1 assist in 32 Premier League matches for us.
Mm-hmm.
But if that is the Antony that we would get on a regular basis, I would like to see more of him.
I think his major flaw is his physicality. I think he's not the tallest of people, which is fine. He's quick, he's agile, like you said, he can turn on the spot, he can get in and out, but we kind of had that in Amad Diallo, right? Amad Diallo can kind of do similar sorts of traits like Antony does, but Antony lacks strength, like his physical strength. He gets pushed around a lot, he gets dragged back, even when he's at full speed, he can get nudged off the ball and his balance is gone. It's like, he's not strong enough. I would love to just throw him in a hyperbolic time chamber for a couple of months and balance out his speed and strength and actually just come back and be the ultimate warrior. I think that would be great. But yeah, he's just not very strong. And he can get pushed off the ball, and I don't. Whereas Amad Diallo, it's hard to kind of push him off the ball because of his size, and he's gone before you even get a chance to touch him. Garnacho,
he's very nimble, yeah.
Yeah, and Garnacho, he loves a battle, and he's a little bit taller as well, so he loves a battle. But yeah, Antony just seems a bit on the weak side. I don't know. Look, he should just get in the gym, start bench pressing a little bit. Maybe you'll lose a little bit of pace, but look, he's got to do something about his strength. But I think he'll get results. But yeah, he had a promising little cameo today. Garnacho, as we discussed, started the match. What was your thoughts on Garnacho's performance today?
I mean, I didn't see anything that I really loved. I didn't see anything that I really hated. I think that. There wasn't a whole lot of opportunity. There's not a lot of the Alejandro Garnacho that we're used to seeing, where he's getting to the touchline, he's playing the ball in, he's taking on defenders, cutting inside, getting his shots away. I feel like he was just kind of lost in the link up a little bit. Is what I felt like, trying to move the ball around the pitch, but not really taking his opportunities. And I kind of felt like most of the team was kind of doing that today. It was a very, very defensive effort, I feel like, from the team as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Rashford at the beginning, he didn't really come back, drop in and try and help defend. But later on in the match, he was regularly getting back. I feel like everybody was told, look,
but he wasn't happy with that, was he? He literally should have got sent off. But it's like, he gave up because he had to track back. He had one bad tackle. He then stuck out a lazy leg like he wasn't happy to be tracking back and being there. Like it was someone else's fault that he had to be there. Like, he just wasn't happy. He showed a weak mentality today in tracking back. We all know what it's like going forward, but yeah, oh God, that's why he came off. He kind of gave up and he didn't want to track back. And it's like he doesn't enjoy that part of the job. But
on a yellow card and then making another silly tackle, you can't risk getting a red card there, because getting a red card there probably would have lost us the match. So I mean, in my opinion, that's a good man management from Ten Hag. We kind of need.
I agree with you. I think that's right. I think he needed to bring him off because, like I said, Rashford subbed himself off. Ten Hag had no other option but to sub him after that.
Yeah.
My point being is that Rashford, even though he did track back today, he wasn't very effective, and he got himself subbed off basically because he had to track back, and he made poor decisions, and he wasn't happy.
If he would just provide pressure, I don't want tackles from Marcus Rashford. I just need pressure on the ball. Try and put somebody off, make them make a move. And I think that he didn't rely. I think there was both of the tackles that he made. He had Diallo as backup with nobody to mark.
Yeah.
And so once they get beyond, like the point of Marcus Rashford being there is to apply the pressure so that they have to take a big touch, so that Diallo can come in and scoop up the ball, and then we can counter. And so I think that just needs to be a little tweak in the mentality. You don't need to make all the tackles. You're a winger. We don't expect tackles to come from you. Although right at the very start of the match, good job nipping the ball off Matty Cash and having a go up the line. I did like to see that. So maybe keep those tackles a bit further up the pitch where there's less risk involved. You're not worried about giving up a set piece that we have been woeful in defending over the last couple seasons. Although I will say I think this season we've done a little bit better on defending set pieces. We've also improved our ability to attack on those set pieces. So, just a little bit smarter heads up play and just some effort. I think that's really what we want from Marcus Rashford. It's just effort. But I've obviously sidetracked ourselves from the Garnacho conversation.
No, you're good. Whilst we're on Rashford, I mean, the first part, the first D in defense is for delay, right? So when you're trying to mark someone down that wing, like you said, you don't want to commit. You're just trying to apply pressure and guide them towards an area that's easily defendable with Delo behind him, waiting to mop up all the leftovers that's available, right? So you shoulder to shoulder, you put your arms by your side, you make sure he doesn't get past you. If he does go past you, you let him go to where you want him to go, into a channel that's even protected by Delo. You don't need to keep making those reckless challenges and tackles. And again, that's a mentality. If someone that literally celebrates a goal by going, "Oh, I've got a mental," he's showing very low mental strength in terms of defending or his IQ or his experience. He's been around the block now. He knows how to track back and defend. So the fact that he's literally putting in those feet and for the challenge, it's a weak mentality in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, it could improve. But you're right, Garnacho's problem today was his first touch. Every time he received the ball, it was slightly out of control. Like his first touch, he tried to pass it one time, it went to a Villa player. He tried to take a touch and it was just a half a yard too far in front of him, so the Villa player gets it. He lost possession from his first touch today so many times, and that's unlike Garnacho. Usually he gets the ball, it sticks to his foot, and then he's running at defenders left and right and centre. But his first touch let him down. Didn't really have an opportunity to run at a couple of people. I think he had one or two wild shots. He did track back today. Didn't commit any fouls either, which I think was very good to see. But he always tracks back. He's always the one. Yeah, he's always the one. Putting in the effort, coming back. So maybe Rashford could take a leaf out of Garnacho's book on that front.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And, again, to your point, there were no wild challenges on Garnacho's behalf. And so, that's really all that we need is just that little bit of effort. Just apply the pressure. It was the same thing, it's the reason why we struggled so much against Porto midweek. The tracking back and marking the players that are going to be getting the ball into the box and creating issues for us. That's all that we need, and he did an okay job of it up until those last couple fouls.
Yeah.
So he was also, in my opinion, I thought that he was our best offensive threat today. He looked up for the attacking challenge today. Getting the space that he needs to take those shots and just really wreaking havoc over on that left-hand side. I thought he did a pretty decent job of that today. He really looked like the one person that was really actively trying to create threats for our team. Rasmus Højlund, he's trying to get into spaces, but he's not drawing people out of position. He wasn't really trying to get. It didn't seem like he was getting in behind the lines very well. And I think that Bruno Fernandes also could have done a lot more today. In terms of his link-up play.
Hey, he did get sent off. That's a bonus.
Yes.
First game in 3 where he didn't get sent off.
Yeah, first time in 3 games. But a little wasteful in possession. But it also just seemed like nobody wanted to take risks today. I thought that today was a very good defensive performance, but it was very much at the cost of any attacking threat that we could have posed. Sans Marcus Rashford, who, again, I think he looked up for it today. He wanted the challenge. He wanted to take people on. But man, his partnership with Delo on offense really needs to develop with how much they've been playing together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that they're not just absolutely causing terror, up that left-hand side. With all of the praise that we heap on Delo for being a very attack-minded, back for us. I really haven't seen a whole lot from him in that regard. And I think that it really is just down to the relationship that he has with Marcus Rashford. Fortunately today, no big issues with him on defense, though. I think that's been kind of the issue. I think most of the goals that we've conceded thus far this year in the Premier League have kind of started on that left-hand side for it. And part of that is going to be Marcus Rashford, part of it's going to be Delo.
Yeah, you got to give it some context, though. I mean, if we would have lost today, we would have lost our manager. That was the build-up going into this match.
Quite possibly, yeah.
And we're going up against Villa, who just beat Bayern Munich in Europe at their home ground. I think we went there today to not lose. Win if we can. Rashford created a few opportunities, some amazing saves from Martinez throughout the match. But yeah, we didn't lose, and I think that was the most important thing. It was a point earned rather than 2 point lost today. So we didn't create as much as we'd like, but we did look solid at the back. There was one or two clear-cut opportunities for Villa, and I think we dealt with them well, honestly, whether they were tired or not.
Yeah.
They have been rotating, and they played with two up front for the final half an hour with Ollie Watkins and John Duran.
Yeah.
And John Duran's on fire at the moment, and we kept him quiet.
Yes.
So I think we've got a lot of positives to take away from this. One thing I would say is, though, like, within the first... the first 20 minutes, both of our central midfielders were booked. And we're going to talk about Eriksen a little bit more in a bit. But Mainu was booked in like the 22nd minute. Eriksen was booked in like the 5th minute or something like that. And then literally towards the end of the first half, both of our centre-backs were kind of carrying knocks or injuries. So we had a core of our team that were struggling, to say the least. And yet they kind of powered through that. So I think... a lot of adversity, but a lot of positives, especially to take away from that. What did you think about the halftime substitutions? Let's kind of move on to our next image here. The halftime substitute. Yes, Victor Lindelof is still alive and well. It's nice to know what the pay packet that we're giving him every bloody week is being put to use to support his family and everything. But look, he's wearing a Man United shirt. He actually turned up and played at right back. When the subs were announced, I was like, oh God, that's Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire coming off. But no, Mazraoui came off. Johnny Evans ended up being able to stay on. Maguire had to come off through injury. So De Ligt came on for Maguire for the centre-back, and Lindelof came in at the right back for Mazraoui. What's your thoughts on that? Nice to see him again?
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody kind of expected, for it to be the two center backs coming off. So to see Johnny Evans stay on the pitch and do everything that he did, props to him. He did a fantastic job. And Lindelof getting out there on the fullback, rotation. I think that we've seen him play in that position before.
I think he signed him as
it's
a right
not
back,
entirely unfamiliar to him.
Yeah.
But I loved seeing him. It's good to know that he, I think that it's one of those things where we didn't rush him back to getting onto the pitch and potentially risk aggravating an injury. And honestly, not a bad performance from him today either. I think that there wasn't really a whole lot of offense that was being generated on our right hand side of defense. Even after he came on. So. I don't know. I was also just kind of confused. I don't really know if that Mazraoui substitution was that just a rotation, a rotational change, or do you think that there was there was an issue with his performance today? What do you think?
I think, along with all the other rotational decisions that we've made this season already, I definitely think it was he's played every minute of every game so far, pretty much this season. I mean, and maybe he was a bit off against Porto, and in a couple of other games, maybe he's had some weak moments. But overall, he's been a fantastic signing. But he has played a lot of games, and Lindelof hasn't played a lot of games. And we need people that haven't played a lot of games to be able to take some minutes away from the people that are playing all the time. And Lindelof has never been a bad player, right? And he's always been solid for us. And he has been a right back. I'm looking at when he signed for Manchester United. When was the date? That was 2017. So 7 years ago we signed him as a centre back, and he's 29 now. He's still got years in him. And maybe not as a right back per se, but we've got cover in centre backs positions now. So maybe right backup is kind of his main role element. But I think it was a good decision, especially if Lindelof is fit and ready to play. The squad players need minutes, and I think it was very important to see him back. He looked like a bit rusty. That's fair to say, but I mean that's totally acceptable as well. But he also looked positive. He was making those runs. He was knocking the ears back and overlapping and bombing forward. But he was still getting back. He made some crucial interceptions, by the way. And
yeah, he did.
If that decision would have gone poorly, Erik ten Hag would have got a lot of slack for that as well. But it was a brave decision, a bold decision, and a decision I think paid off. But one has to ask, hang on a second, we've just dropped De Ligt, Martinez, and Mazraoui for Lindelof, Maguire, and Evans. It's like, what's happening here? What's the point of all of our signings? But again, that's another discussion. But I thought it was a good performance from Lindelof. It's good to see him back. He's always been committed to the shirt, and when we signed him from Benfica for 31 million, and it's nice to see him with a smile on his face, and I hope that he enjoyed that. And I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of him. He's always solid and dependable. What do you think? Rotation? Good decision? Good swap? It's unexpected, that's for sure.
It was certainly unexpected. I think it was ultimately a rotation. We're about to go into an international break, and Mazraoui he plays for his national team regularly, and with how much he's had to play this season so far, out of necessity, we really do need to be able to rotate both him and Diogo Dalot. Because like Dalot as well, he plays for Portugal really, pretty much every international break. So there's going to be matches for them. They're already overused, overworked, and so we're gonna have, like, ideally those two are the ones that are competing for right back. Right now, we basically don't have a left back because we refuse to play a mass. And this is also caveat: this is not a match where I would play a mass at left back right off, from the off.
Apparently, no fucking match has been where we play Harry Mass this season so far. I don't know what's going on. He's just dropped off the planet. Like, I know
he needs to play against Brentford. He needs to play against Brentford. We need to get him minutes. He's not out on loan. He's missing out on all of these opportunities to get minutes. He's not going to develop if he's not getting those minutes. He has to play, and Brentford, I think, is a good opportunity for him to do so. We also need to be looking at him in some of the cup competitions. He needs to have minutes, period. He's not going to develop if we don't give him those minutes. He needs experience, and if we're not going to give him regular minutes, then we should have put him out on loan. We obviously have issues at our left back position right now between Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia. They've been injured for who knows how long.
They're actually back, by the way, end of this month. October 20th is when they're due back, both of them, from injury, Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia. So
that sounds great. I will believe it when I see it.
I just saw that as an update. I thought I'd let you know. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would love to see that, and I would love to see some competition. I think naturally the first option that you're going to include in your lineup is going to be Luke Shaw in that position, but you need to have opportunities for your youth players if you're going to keep them at the club. Mm-hmm. I think he's in that weird, awkward transition phase where he's probably a bit too good for some of the youth teams, for him to really develop by playing on the youth sides regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also not quite ready to be a regular in that starting 11. So like we at least need to see him off the bench some. At the very least, he is being stymied, I think, in his development right now with how we've handled his situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, he is playing in an under-21s team where they're dominating. Like, with other people around his age groups. Like, yes, I want to see Harry Mass in the squad and getting 10 minutes here, a half there, getting that match experience. But at the moment, he is gaining experience in a winning team, under a winning mentality, under a winning coach that is literally overperforming and taking the world by storm. They're beating their Cities and Liverpools and Arsenals well, I might add. So maybe they want to move a few of the youth team up at the same time, kind of like the class in 92, and maybe something similar to that ilk. But you're right, we all want to see Harry Mass, just give him an opportunity, but then that could also be the fact that we're looking to buy a left back in January. I don't know. I think loan is probably not the right move because the under-21s are doing bits. And loans are gambles, as we've seen previously. That sometimes you can go on, like Hannibal Medjugorje went on loan and it was absolutely dire for him, ended up selling him as a result. So, yeah, I think it's good to keep him close to the club in case he's needed, but definitely want to see some minutes out of him. But look, everyone kind of knows best at the club. He'll play when he's ready. He had a good pre-season. Maybe he's just not ready for us yet. So, but yeah, it was great to see Lindelof back. And again, squad play is what we need. If Mazraoui gets injured in a European Cup game or something, at least we know Lindelof is fit and able and ready to play a part. Whereas for the last 6 months, he hasn't really been. So I think that is a positive sign overall. Let's move on to the next one. I kind of want to talk about Christian Eriksen. Now, yes, he got booked within the first 5 minutes, but he still he played every minute again today. We've had a revitalised Eriksen after not really playing very much football last year. Sometimes people need a break, and he definitely had a little bit of a break last season. He did okay in the Euros, and but he seems hungry this year, and he's played 5 games-ish in a row, apart from the one in Europe where we had a little bit of a break, but he's really rolling back the clock and putting in some decent performances. He's running every blade of grass at the moment,
Yeah, and I mean, I think his passing accuracy was really great today, and he also had a couple of chances that he was directly involved in creating. So again, another, to your point, just a revitalized and rejuvenated performance from Christian Eriksen. I think my big takeaway here is don't call him bang average ever again, because he sure showed me what he brings to the table in terms of his ability to create chances. And it's so difficult getting booked that early and playing so smart that you are simultaneously defending well and putting people off, and also not being overly aggressive. I mean, that's just the veteran mentality and experience talking. Whenever you see him put in a full match performance basically on a yellow card from the start. Mm-hmm. Obviously we didn't trust Marcus Rashford enough, or Eric Ten Hag did not trust Marcus Rashford enough to say, you're not going to do that again, because I just watched you do it again a couple minutes later. And Christian Eriksen, to his credit, just very smart in his movements and ability to facilitate on both ends of the ball.
Yeah, I think he's always had that cunning pass and the wisdom of around him, but it's like he's got more energy in his game now, and he's leading by example. He's shouting at people, he's communicating, he's pointing and running. He's beating players half his age for pace, sort of thing, and he's really finding that fire in his belly. And if this was his last ever season, then he's really having a swan song of a season. And I don't know. I've been really impressed with him, and ever since you called him bang average, he's just turned it on. And
Yeah, I look at this point. I'm convinced that he watched that for against. He had to. There's no way that he didn't.
But yeah, fair play to Eriksson, and God, long may it continue. And his performances could be really vitally important going forward. So yeah, fantastic to see. Another person, obviously, we talked about Johnny Evans, and I just again seeing him not only take charge of the defense today, but he was again just charging through in the midfield when we had the ball. I don't know what we're feeding our older players at the moment, but God, he just had that fire. Like his partnership and understanding with Maguire allowed him to kind of take charge and have those bombing runs forward and get stuck into tackles. He was arguing with the ref as well, which I absolutely love. He was just an absolute nuisance for Aston Villa today. And God, why did we ever sell him? He was leading by example. It was a true non-captain's performance, if you know what I mean. He's not a captain. He's just such a leader. And when we're looking at our past performances this season, we're looking who wants to play for the shirt, who wants to try and show some effort, who wants to lead by example. And today, Erik ten Hag picked a team that were going to lead by example. Eriksson, Mainu, Maguire, Johnny Evans, they're all going to lead by example in the core. And I'm so happy and energetic and pumped up that Johnny Evans is putting in these performances. He was like man of the match 2 games ago as well, and he's man of the match again. God, this guy, God bless Johnny Evans, Ugh.
Yeah, I mean he's playing like a man possessed for sure. He certainly has the devil in him.
Absolutely.
He's just absolutely wreaking havoc. I was expecting Ollie Watkins to just have his way with the center back pairing of Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, and I think a lot of credit to both of those players, and especially Johnny Evans. Even whenever he had to deal with both him and John Duran, whenever he was substituted on, I think that he just knew where to be at all times, putting himself in good positions. Not only to make the interceptions and make the tackles, but to your point, just those runs forward and instigating our offense to really get on on their game, because we've kind of lacked those players that are willing to step out onto the pitch and say, look, this is how you play. This is Manchester United, not whatever it is that you've been doing, because that's not good enough. You look at all these results and you say, that's not good enough. And then you see Johnny Evans come out and play like he did today, and you say, that is what we need. Mm-hmm. That is the mentality that we've been looking for. That is the effort that we've been looking for. And again, you're talking about a 36-year-old, former Red Devil, that has come in to this side and really just, made a big impact, and I really do. I really hope that, we can continue to see the best out of him. He looked great today. If he was playing like that, or was able to play like that week in, week out, I would continue putting him into that first team every single week.
We do have to be careful though, because those performances do take the toll. I mean, he did seem to have a knock or several knocks going forward, and I don't know if he has to take painkillers or injections, or I don't know what his medical history is. I don't know if he's got a bad knee or a dodgy hip or a bad shot. I don't know. So what I'm trying to say is we do have to take care of Johnny Evans. We can't put him in there week in, week out. I mean, he might be able to do that one time a week. Yeah, but
I'm saying if you could, I mean, that was the performance that we need that was the type of performance that we need from our players, especially on defense. If he plays like that, every time that he comes onto the pitch, it gives your midfielders confidence that they have someone behind them that they can afford to make a mistake. I think I talked about it a little bit on yesterday. Having other players behind you that make it, to where you don't have to worry about, if I make a mistake, we're in a really tight spot. In this case, if you made a mistake in midfield, you would know today that you had Johnny Evans behind you to go in and make that play, get that tackle in, and make sure that that the team wasn't going to be punished for making a mistake. And so having that confidence to know that, I think will also bring out the best in ability in terms of transitioning that into offensive capacity while still having that solid defensive structure. Because again, I feel like today it was meant to be as defensive of a team as possible, but we had almost as many shots, and we had more shots on target. I think Aston Villa only had one shot on target today. We had 4 or 5 out of the 10 or 11 shots.
I'm trying to think. So we had that. There was a shot that they had in the box where Delo blocked it and then got a fist pump from Onana. I think that was on target. Onana made the save from the Yuri Tielemans shot, which I said he probably should have caught, but he parried away. I think there was a couple of shots. We kept them quiet for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so to have shots on target from Marcus Rashford, we had that one from Antony that looked like it could have done it. We generated an okay amount of shots today, but
especially how defensive minded we were. Like I said, we came there not wanting to lose against a top 6 club, and yet we probably had the better chances. Yeah.
Absolutely, we had the better chances. And so I think we sacrificed the quantity of opportunities to play well defensively. Honestly, I look at this game and I say, okay, maybe there is a little bit of hope that we can play defensively sound and still create opportunities going forward, and that maybe there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and just to finish off on Johnny Evans, I'm looking at a couple of stats here. In the 21-22 season with Leicester City, he played 18 starts with 2 subs. In the 22-23 for Leicester City, 13 starts with 1 sub. So, not very many. In the 23-24 season back at Manchester United, 23 starts with 8 subs. So that's basically 2 seasons in 1 for Manchester United. We came back last season, and he's already had 3 starts and 2 subs. So this guy is just everlong, just is in his twilight years, and I'm just so proud of him because he should never have been sold. He went to West Brom, and his career could have been over, but he stuck with it. And he put 3 years in West Brom, and he played like nearly 100 appearances for West Brom in 3 years. And then he had 5 seasons at Leicester, and now he's decided to come back. It's just, I can't speak enough praise for him. We should never have sold him. Top pro. You never hear him going out clubbing or anything else like that. He's a family man, a United man, and God, I want more performances like that. And if Martinez and De Ligt and Yoro can see performances like this from Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, gosh, they've got a lot to learn, because they're not at Johnny Evans' standard. Johnny Evans, hot take, he is world class at this moment in time. At this moment,
I was going to ask if you could sum him up in one word or one quick phrase. What would that be? And I think you just answered my question.
World class. I mean, you let me know in the comments. But I swear, just the way he leads with heart and pride, puts his body on the line. He literally goes to war for Manchester United every time he steps on the pitch. And he's not only succeeding in defend, but he, again, just those bombing runs forward, the energy leading by, gosh, world-class defender for Manchester United, currently. Last season was fantastic.
I would say professional or class. Right.
You could put Johnny Evans into any team right now, and he'll probably be the best centre-back. No. Maybe Arsenal you take away with Saliba and Gabriel. I understand they got some fans, but name me a better performing centre-back.
A better performing centre-back? Look, I feel like we're missing a lot of content.
Look, Virgil van Dijk, he's a top defender, but he hasn't really been performing. He's not as animated as Johnny Evans has been. He's not moving forward. He's not leading by example, especially since he had that horrific injury. He's a great defender, but he's not playing for the shirt like we're trying to identify with Johnny Evans here. And I just think in this moment, for the last season or two, we're getting world-class performances from Johnny Evans at 36 years old, and I just think
he has been a revolution of a signing, for sure. He, the way that he has stepped up, because he's had to be called on so much because of all of the injuries. Like, I think that, all of the number of games that he's been playing has kind of put him back into that top form, obviously a bit past his prime, but judging by today's performance, you wouldn't know it for sure. So I think I would say that world class is a little bit of a stretch.
It's optimistic. It's positive thinking.
It is.
But
it is.
It's just how he makes me feel watching him play.
Obviously, today, yeah. I mean, easily man of the match. Yeah. I don't think there was anyone else that came in and affected the game in the same capacity that Johnny Evans did today. And I have nothing but love for him. And thank you so much to really bringing that energy back into the side and, the passion, because it's clear that, he wants to put everything on the line every single minute of every single game that he plays. And so, just phenomenal from him today. I wish nothing but the best for him, and I hope that he can continue to put in good shifts for us this year.
Yeah, if we can find a way to make him play till he's 40, I'm happy with that. Jesus, that'd be awesome. Okay, all right. Anything else on the Aston Villa 0-0 match, buddy? Have we kind of covered everything, or anything else you want to kind of mention?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think we pretty much got it. I mean, there's we can sit here and talk more about I think the two players that we really haven't talked about a bunch today thus far have been Højlund and Mainoo. And I didn't really see a whole lot one way or the other from them. I don't know. Did Højlund get any shots away today? Because
man, his service was junk, though. I mean, when he got the ball in those moments, he would pass it to Rashford, make the run, and Rashford would pass it the wrong side of him. Or he was getting frustrated with Garnacho as well, because Garnacho went on those mazy runs and he didn't pass to Højlund. But this is what I like about Højlund, though, is he's actually giving some back now. Whereas the first season, he'd be like, all right, yeah, okay, it's fine. Like, he didn't get the pass, he would just head down, he would go back, and he would run again and try again, but now he's giving it back. He's like, Garnacho, what are you doing? Give me the fucking ball. I want the ball. Yeah, and then when Rashford did the pass, he's like, oh, fucking Rashford, give me it. Like, I'm liking what I'm seeing from that, because he does need to demand better from Rashford and Garnacho when it comes to service being played into him. Because I swear he runs, you're the stat man, you have to let me know next week, like, what the stats are for Højlund running or something, like, the distance covered. Because he's never... I feel sorry for the kit man, because Højlund's kit at the end of every match is just covered with grass stains and mud, and it's a white kit as well. I swear he gets a brand new kit every time, God bless him, because he's just ruined the kit. But he works so hard, tireless. God, he just never gets the opportunities, really, because the service, and sometimes it's his movement, but most of the time it's the service. We know what he's like. When he gets half a chance, he'll take it. And when he shoots, it's generally on target, and his on-target shots are generally going in. So it's one of those we've got to keep with. I still think, out of all of the players in our squad at the moment, Højlund has the biggest star potential. Like,
he carries the goal threat, just period. Yeah. To your point, if he's shooting, I'm pretty sure he had the highest conversion rate out of anybody on our team last season. So the shots that he was able to take, he was putting on target and he was scoring. So I mean that's really what we're missing right now is we need goals. And so I think it's going to take a little bit of swallowing some pride and giving up the spotlight from our wingers and some of our midfield to like give Højlund the service that he needs. Like, he is the player that we need right now to be in form. If we can feed him the ball and he can just do what he did last season in terms of his opportunities and taking his opportunities and shooting the ball, I think we're looking at a very different Manchester United team. We'd be looking at a very different position in the table if we had him from the start, and he's been, getting these matches in. As much praise as I've given to Xerxes, and we do.
He's dropped off as soon as you praised him. We had an argument a couple of weeks ago during For or Against, and you were like, he's a star player. I'm like, no, he's not a star player yet. He has a potential, but he's not yet. And he's kind of dropped. They've kind of gone invisible since. He hasn't been linking up the play. He hasn't been creating chances. He definitely hasn't been taking
that. I would disagree that he's not been creating or at least facilitating in the play in terms of creating chances. But he absolutely needs to be scoring more goals. The number of big chances that he has missed is unacceptable.
Well, he had no chances today. Come on, for
no chances today for sure, absolutely. But I mean, throughout the rest of this season, we have been utilizing him, and we have been utilizing him effectively. But nobody is putting the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. Xerxes, not Rashford, not Garnacho, not Amad Diallo, not Bruno. All of the usual suspects that you expect. Like, okay, we're gonna get at least a couple goals from these players this season. Have not been there, and I think that's why we're going to have to see a whole lot more of Højlund in the coming weeks if Erik ten Hag's going to want to save his job.
I think he has saved his job at least until the next horrific result we get. It's been talked about again, but I think he's got at least till January at the moment. Just quickly on Mainoo. Again, he's a young lad. It's only his second season. He's kind of finding his feet again still, but he hasn't been performing to the high standards that he was last season. I don't think he's had a shot this season so far. I don't think he's had an assist. He hasn't been marauding forward. He's been getting some bookings.
That's the one that I'm most concerned with, because that's where I thought he looked really good last season, was getting forward, making those runs, getting into spaces that are awkward for defenses to deal with. We saw it in the FA Cup at the end of last season. Him, on the counterattack, getting forward, making a lung-busting run, and getting on the end of Bruno Fernandes, a little flick to convert. And so, we really need to see more of that. I think he's done a good job of holding the ball up, and being able to make sure that we're not losing the ball in the middle of the park. But we do need more of that offensive prowess from him that he was exhibiting last season. I expected him to be kind of the link between our defense and our offense in terms of counterattacking potential, and there hasn't really been a whole lot of that this season. So I would love to see him do a bit more of that and kind of get into those spaces. And so I think good performance, not great.
But look, I mean, in a game where Erik ten Hag couldn't lose, and he had to pick a team that he trusted to get a result, he trusted Kobbie Mainoo, and that's why he started. So, I mean, and we didn't concede. So, yeah, it wasn't the best game, but he was still trustworthy enough and had the ability to do the job, what was asked of him, and to make sure that no one conceded. When he started with Ugarte, everyone thought that Ugarte and Mainoo were going to be mainstay. They just didn't click when they played. They were awful. They were kind of all over the place, and the partnership wasn't. That's going to develop over time. But it looks like there's definitely an understanding between Mainoo and Eriksen at the moment. I thought against Porto we'd play Collier and Eriksen, because Collier would have the legs and Eriksen's got the understanding. He went with Casemiro in the end. But today, obviously, he's gone with Kobbie and with Christian, and I think that's a very trustworthy centre midfield pairing. Definitely room for improvement with Kobbie. It's a long season ahead, but we know that we can trust him to put in a performance when needed. So definitely good.
I think Kobbie Mainoo is the type of player that you put in to make sure that no mistakes are made, right? Right now, I think he has some developing in order to become the world beater that we know that he can be. But you put him in and you think, okay, well, he's not going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
He's gonna hold on to the ball well. He's going to keep possession of the ball. He's not going to make those silly wayward passes. That's just like splitting, two of our defenders. Whenever we're trying to hold on to the ball, which allows wingers to get in and wreak havoc. He's very smart with, how he holds onto the ball and where he's passing. But we just need to convert that into going forward instead of side to side and backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, fair play. Okay, so I think we've kind of talked everything there is to talk about the Aston Villa match. I actually messaged my friend who's actually an Aston Villa fan. I said, first time in my life I'm fearful of visiting Aston Villa. All the best, but John Duran is the real deal. Not only do we keep Duran quiet, that fear kind of slowly. I feel comfortable now. I was really worried about today's result for a multitude of reasons. For Erik ten Hag, for the squad, for our position, for our season. But it was a good result all in all. We didn't lose, created the best chances. There's some positive individual results, and overall some positive team results. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Are you gutted that we didn't win? Are you happy that Erik ten Hag is still around? I haven't checked the news since the end of the match. God knows, we could Ratcliffe could have sacked him whilst we've been recording this. Who knows?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, we're going to move on to the for or against now. It's a segment that we do at the end of our podcast each week. We come up with 3 different kind of incentivized kind of statements or questions to try and make you question. One of us, myself and Sporadiclese, will have a for or against. So we tell both sides of the story in order for you guys to make up your own decision and see which side you fall. Let's kind of get cracking on. Is the video going to work this week? We'll see. Here we go. For or against. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am TheSaffronMan and this is RedVsRed's For or Against. I'm here with my friend Sporadiclese. We have 3 statements where we want to try and get your opinion of your final thoughts. One of us is going to be doing the for and the other is going to be doing the against, offering you both sides of the story so you make your own decision. Who's for or against this week, Sporadiclese?
I believe I am going to be taking the against this week.
Okay, all right.
And so looking forward to seeing kind of what we came up with.
All right, okay, so our first question then, which I'm going to be for, I'll go first since it's for, and it gives you a chance to be a rebuttal, I suppose. The first question is the best centre-back pairing that we have at the moment. Obviously, this is going on from our prediction, Sporadiclese's prediction. Obviously, wanted Martinez and De Ligt in the starting 11. We started with Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. We also have Lenny Yoro there as well. We have a couple of others, like Lindelof is there as well. But so who is our best centre-back pairing? Now, ultimately, on paper, you would say Martinez and De Ligt, just for their prestige, their experience, their past performances, not just for club but for international. But this season has been a bit rocky for them. It hasn't been the best, and De Ligt's just turned up. He's finding it a little bit difficult to kind of get up to speed, but I've got no doubt he's going to be a world beater for us at Manchester United. If not in the very near future, then maybe next season or beyond. He's still only 24, so he's got plenty of time to settle in at Manchester United. But we needed to trust the centre-back pairing today, and we relied on the old stalwarts, the veterans of Maguire and Johnny Evans, and they put in a performance today that we haven't seen from any other defender, even this season or last season. They just, even though Maguire only lasted 45 minutes, in that 45 minutes they showed cohesion, they showed togetherness, they showed an understanding of where they were, when to press, when to go forward. If you remember, they came on at Porto and actually rescued the game. Johnny Evans said, look, we need to win this here. You go forward, I'll stay back, you go and get the head. And he scored the goal, which got us the third goal to get us a point at Porto. So, look, we are getting results. Now, we can't rely on Maguire and Johnny Evans for every 90 minutes of every game for every season. we need the young defenders in De Ligt and Martinez to doing the hard work, and they need to improve. But in terms of our best pairing, it has to be Maguire and Evans after this 45-minute performance after Aston Villa alone. In Porto, they were even good. They come on at half-time, whatever it was, and they made the difference. They just put themselves on the line. If they get injured, getting a tackle in, so be it. They'll play it for the rest of the injury, or the rest of the match with that injury. They'll hobble on. They'll go in for another tackle. They'll put their body on the lines. They'll get the headers. They wear their heart on their sleeves. They play for the badge, and they put anyone else to shame, because De Ligt and Martinez's efforts are nowhere near what Johnny Evans has been putting in of late, and he's 36-year-old. Like, I don't know what he's drinking or what he's eating, but in terms of performance this season, our best pairing is Maguire and Johnny Evans. Just from results, stats, everything kind of backs it up in my opinion. Next season, the season after, definitely going to be moving forward towards maybe Lenny Yoro and Martinez, or Lenny Yoro and De Ligt. We'll see. Apparently, there's rumour we want to sign another centre back. I don't know why, but look, this right now, it has to be Maguire and Evans, and I would love to see your take on that, Sporadiclese.
I mean, I think if you look at the matches where they have been paired up, and the team that is around them and the play style that we have, kind of taken on in a lot of those games, it is not the same. It is not a like for like in terms of the team that they're getting put into. Whenever we're playing them together, our team as a whole ends up playing more defensively. We saw Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho getting back constantly today. Eriksen and Mainu, they didn't venture forward as much physically. They were covering a bit of ground, but we weren't really pressing up very high in terms of, them, making those runs forward. We just discussed how Mainu hasn't been getting forward as much in recent times. And so I think that what we did today was kind of sit back a little bit deeper and, try to get our opportunities where we could in terms of nicking the ball off of somebody, trying to get the ball forward, and, just holding on to the ball and slowly moving forward instead of, okay, well, we got the ball, everybody dash forward, let's try and counterattack and getting caught out of place. So I think that Evans and Maguire have been aided based on the style of play that we have adopted with both of them on the pitch. There's obviously not a lot of pace in between those two. And so whenever you're going up against pace on the other side of the ball, and like an Ollie Watkins, you have to be more compact. And that's what we saw today. We saw everybody kind of pinching in a little bit. We'll give them the wings because we know that we have the aerial dominance. And I'm okay with that. I think that was a good decision to make if you're going to pull off De Ligt and Martinez. But whenever we play De Ligt and Martinez, we assume that they have, that athleticism, that pace to be able to deal with a lot of those, issues. And we did not see that against Porto, because Rashford was not tracking back in the same way. We were trying to play a bit more on the front foot, and we were much more open in those games. So to say that, based on one or two performances is not indicative of a trend, right? And so you have to take everything into consideration. What's the play style? How frequently are we using them? How frequently can we use them? Because the best center back pairing, you're playing week in, week out. And I just don't see that you're going to be able to do that with Johnny Evans and Maguire. If you do that against, an Arsenal team or a Liverpool team, you're going to have a bad time. We obviously had a bad time against Liverpool, and they were not our starting pairing. But, you have to consider style of play and everything to that effect. I think long-term, you are going to be looking at, Martinez and De Ligt or Yoro and De Ligt. And those are going to be our better options And I think, once those players have meshed well together or had the opportunity to do so and understand how the players in front of them are going to be playing, because right now, we're kind of all over the place. We're going back to the who's going to be the the players that we're playing week in, week out. And so, until those relationships have developed better, like, yes, Johnny Evans and McGuire was a good pick today, but also the tactics that we employed were also conducive to us getting that draw. So I can't say that Johnny Evans and Harry McGuire is going to be our best center back pairing long term.
Yeah, long term wasn't the question, was it?
Well, sure, but again, if you play that same style with Martinez and De Ligt in there, I think you get a comparable performance, if not a better performance.
I mean, styles make matches, but styles don't win you points, right? It's like you want your goalkeepers.
Styles absolutely win you points.
No, you want goalkeepers to stop shots. You want defenders to defend. You want strikers to shoot and score goals, and everything else is a bonus. But you want your guys to play their position first and foremost, and then offer additional attributes. And I just don't think we've got better defenders than Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. Like, defenders. Like, Martinez can stroll forward. He's got a strike on him. He's got a pass from Meek. He's got a long ball. He's got vision. And it's got a bit of tenacity. As awesome. De Ligt is a powerhouse. He can charge forward. He leads by example and everything else as well. But as actual defenders, then they're not at the level yet. But they've got time on their side. Remember, these are, Martinez and De Ligt are younger models of Maguire and Johnny Evans, who have been there, done that, literally got the t-shirt. And so I think just in actual centre-back defenders, as in stopping the opposition getting chances and blocking shots and making tackles, I think they're the best pairing. But I mean, again, they've got years ahead of De Ligt and Martinez, who have got at least another 5-6 years to kind of catch up and gain that experience. And if De Ligt and Martinez were to reach the level of Evans and Maguire by the time they reach the same age, I think they've had a glittering and fantastic career. So we'll see. Where we're going to be at this one, I'm happy to leave this one kind of white. I think I believe they are the best partnership right now. But as you said, in the future, it's definitely going to be like either Euro or Martinez or De Ligt or something like that. But I think right now it's a bit of a grey area. And we're just fresh off the Villa result where they had an amazing performance, and so I'm happy to kind of leave that white. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because they have the most experience together in this setup, right? Mm-hmm. But in terms of if we need a game changer, I think it's tough to say that they're going to come in and they're just going to dominate every single team that they come up against. And so I think there's a lot of room to tinker with. I mean, maybe you pair up Martinez and Maguire again, because Martinez he was out for a pretty significant portion of last season. So maybe see what that pairing looks like, because Martinez has the legs and Maguire's got the aerial dominance and the power. So I think that they could complement each other really well. So it's just tough to say that that's absolutely our best pairing. So I'm fine with leaving it white.
Again, the whole premise and concept of For or Against is at some point we're going to be going live and hopefully get some live feedback for you guys. So myself and Sporadiclese won't be making the ultimate decision. We'll leave that to the live chat whenever we start doing live shows. So until then, we'll just kind of make the decision. You guys can ultimately make the decision yourselves. Let us know in the comment section below which side are you against. Are you with? Are you for? Are you against? Let us know. We'll leave that white for the time being as undecided. You let us know what you guys think. All right. And number 2 question is Rashford's biggest flaw is his mentality. Would you like to go first or second, Sporadiclese?
I mean, I guess I can go. I think.
So remember, Sporadiclese is against on this one. So showing the forms, off you go.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the system is kind of failing him at the moment, and you look at what he's been able to do in some of these matches. Yes, he had a rocky start to the season, but you also look at the type of service that he's been getting, and he's not been at the forefront of the minds of a lot of the players around him to look for those runs. He makes really good runs. He's trying to get in behind the lines, and nobody's trying to pick him out. And I think, after you do that 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a match and you're still not getting that service, that's not really a him problem. I think that it's the system that we're kind of creating around this team. We obviously or Eric Ten Hag wants to play out of the back. He wants to have that possession style, and he wants to, pull players around and get the overlaps in and try and pull the opposition out of position. But sometimes all you need to do is just put a ball in over the top to one of your paciest players, one of your smartest players in terms of getting into those positions and timing the runs. We know that he can score goals. He's done it for us before. He's had a pretty decent patch here recently. We need to be feeding him the ball more. We need to be giving him the types of opportunities that we know he can flourish as long as he's getting them. And right now we're just not. I think that with Xerxes on the pitch in particular, he's able to pull a lot of those center backs out of position, and it allows space in between those defenders, the fullbacks and the center backs, for Marcus Rashford to exploit. We're just not getting him the ball. We're not playing him the ball, and so after doing it game in, game out, just you're on repeat, just thinking, well, is it a me problem? What am I doing? Why is it me that I'm not getting the type of service that I need to thrive? And so I think that it's really the style that we've opted to play that has been more of a hindrance than his mentality.
So, again, on the full side of things, I think Marcus is getting a service, and if anything, he should be the one providing a better service. He's getting the ball, and he's either getting tackled. Over the last few games, he's been really good, back to his best. But when we talk about mentality, we're talking about professionalism on and off the pitch, right? He's going on these trips to Ireland last season, and we had to leave him out a couple of times because of off-field interactions or activities for whatever reason, so that's fine. And he comes back and he kind of silences the crowd every time he scores. He puts his finger to the head, it's all a mental thing. And I get that, but when he doesn't track back and people get angry about him for not tracking back, and then he does track back and he makes stupid tackles whilst he's tracking back because he's not happy tracking back, or he wants to show an emotion of, I don't know, he just doesn't like tracking back, and he doesn't have the mentality to defend, or he's not a team player at the moment. He's a very individual player. He can make individual moments. He doesn't. Yes, he's had a few crosses of late this season, which should have been finished. Xerxes for one. I remember he should have finished a couple. Garner should have finished a couple as well. I think there's one glaring cross which I'm trying. It might have been Xerxes that missed that as well. I can't remember, but there's one he crossed it in with his left foot. I think. Oh, that's right. It was last week against the Palace, where Garnacho had the volley and it hit the post. I think that was a fantastic cross. He has the ability to make those passes, and yes, we should be finishing those passes. But his body language is always the first to go. His head is always the first one to drop when things aren't going well. He throws his arms up more than Bruno Fernandes at times, and he lacks focus. He needs to do his job, track back without creating silly fouls, or which puts the team under more pressure, by the way, because then they've got a dangerous free kick on the edge of the box, and that makes us look silly and vulnerable. Just stronger mentality. Do your part for the team. Be a team player. Don't throw a strut because someone like Garnacho didn't finish an opportunity for you, or like Xerxes. They should have done, and that's on them. They need to improve. You can only focus on yourself and do what you can as a team player. And I find it hard to take when you go to places like Ireland and have nights out, and then come back and start doing a celebration. And every time he scores and does this, everyone's like, yeah, we get it. But then we see performances like today against Aston Villa where he literally got himself subbed off after such a promising performance, first half performance versus Porto, such a promising first half performance against Villa today. He was our most dangerous player, and then he gets himself subbed off when it's still 0-0 and he could have still made the difference. He could have been our game winner. He decides to make two silly challenges, which puts us under more pressure, and we have to make the subs and change things around. So, no doubt, his tactical skills and physical skills are there for all to see. One of our most talented players in the squad. I just think his biggest flaw is his mentality, and I don't know where that comes from. Because when he first jumped on the scene against Arsenal and scored those 2 goals, and then Midtjylland as well, God, he is just the most happy, most energetic, buzzing kid that you've ever seen. Always, I can't remember the last time I see him smiling. Like, what's happened to the happy Marcus Rashford? And I know all about depression and everything else, and it is a mental thing. I don't know what it is his biggest flaw. There's no ifs or doubts about it. That's his biggest flaw.
I mean, I think that, you know, if you do want to talk about, you know, a specific flaw, then it's either his. I don't think mentality has as much to do with him not dropping back. I mean, yes, he wants it's his personal play style, right? That's what he wants to do, and as long as everybody else is tracking back, then you can kind of compensate there in a lot of ways. But I think one thing that he really struggles with is whenever he gets into the box, all he's thinking about is shooting. He has tunnel vision for the goal.
Not as much as Garnacho. I mean, Garnacho had like 6 shots against Porto.
But he does. But he does, and I think, you know, against Porto, there was a couple of opportunities where he basically took the ball into the box, and he goes almost all the way across the box. There's 3 other players that, you know, he's drawing 2-3 defenders to him. He just lays that ball off to Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes is going to finish that ball. He's going to take that shot, and he's going to score. So I think that he, you know, while, yes, I do want him to take his opportunities, he needs to know when to play the ball to somebody else, because other teams do still see him as a threat. I think we've seen that, you know, for the last few games, you know, against Porto, they were doubling down on him. Didn't matter. He still ended up getting his opportunities. And, you know, this game as well, I think he had a couple of opportunities where he's taking people on. He just needs to get the ball over to, you know, Dallow's making the overlapping run. He's not playing the overlapping run because he's trying to get into the box, which that's great. But whenever you have somebody coming around and Dallow is not going to want to continue making that run over and over and over and over if he's not going to ever get the ball. And I don't know that I've seen Marcus Rashford play the ball to Diogo Dallow on an overlapping run. He just has that tunnel vision where it's, I need to get in the box, I need to do this, I need to do that. It is him centric, and again, I think that's a play style thing. It's a preference thing. I think he does need to be a little bit less selfish, and I don't think that's necessarily a mentality issue. It's more a matter of experience and picking your head up. You know, it's great that you're picking your head up and looking at the goal, but you need to pick your head up and look at your other players too. So the vision is something that he really needs to improve on in his decision making skills.
I think at the start of the season, where Rashford was still looking to find some form and motivation and some kind of just energy going forward, I think we were looking for that. His assists weren't really happening. He wasn't getting those advanced positions. Nothing was really kind of working. But this season, we have seen him try to make just the team haven't put those chances away. Xerxes, Højlund, Garnacho, Bruno, like he has been finding them. But since the last week or two, you know, where he looks like his former self again, I think that confidence has changed. He's not looking for those anymore because he knows that he could beat anyone in front of him, and no one else has got 30 plus goals in a season in our whole squad before. He is our main goal scoring threat, and he can score from anywhere inside that box. And you're right, they are running away from him, especially Porto. They were doubling and tripling up, and he was still getting away from all of them. And yes, sometimes he can just draw in 3 and lay it off to someone, But that's not that's not an on fire Rashford. Rashford will take on anyone and get those shots in. I agree to some extent with what you're saying, but that's also down to a mentality. Decision making is mentality. So when you got three people in front of you and you want to lay it off and he doesn't, that's a decision making fault, and that is a mentality fault. So yeah, I still think that his mentality is. If he had the confidence of, I'm just trying to think, if Højlund's consciousness was in Rashford's body, we would have like a Haaland 2.0 on our hand. Like, do you mean like the positive, the energy, the happiness? Yeah. Like, I think that would be kind of crazy if we could have a fusion frenzy mold of Højlund and I think that would be absolutely great. But yeah, I think I've got to take this one, Sporadiclese. I think, despite you putting up a good argument, I don't think you quite won me over on this one.
I mean, this one's hard to argue against because I mean, you do look at it and you do see the head drop, and it, you know, I think whenever that happens early in a match, it's difficult for him to come back and get into the game again and like really reassert himself. You know, I think there are other aspects of his game that he needs to improve, but, you know, I think a lot of it does stem from his mentality of, you know, there's so much pressure on me to score goals. I need to only look to score goals. You know, it seems like whenever he's playing the ball off to somebody else, it's because he really doesn't have another option. He doesn't have the option to attack the person and try and attack the goal. It's, I need to play this ball because I'm not going to get anywhere. You know, I'm being defended, and there's a defender behind that is going to just come in and take the ball. So I just need to pass the ball out, or I need to get a cross in. And so, you know, it is difficult to say that that's not a mentality thing. You know, I think that he's a player that needs to have confidence, and right now, you know, yes, he's found an okay vein of form, but you know, I think he's still struggling, honestly.
Yeah, all right. So let's know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I'm going to put that onto green just for my sake and make me feel better and get my confidence back a little bit. So we'll go with that. Let's move to the third one. Again, let us know what you think. Third for or against is a little bit of a fun one. Can we please cryo-freeze Johnny Evans and just keep him, like, honestly, let's just cryo-freeze him, vanilla Sky style, and just once we have an invention for anti-aging or whatever, and then can we just, like, wake him back up? Like, he's just been so good. I don't know how... He's signed a 1-year contract, Sporadiclese, and basically my thought process here is, how can we prolong his playing career? He's 36 years old. He improves us as a team, as a squad. He's, you know, people look up to him. He's professional. He's inspiring and motivating. He's everything that we want in a defender, if I'm honest. And we spent a lot of money on defenders, you know, over the years. 80 million on Maguire, you know, God knows how much on Martinez. We've spent a lot on De Ligt, but mate, I think Johnny Evans is a free transfer, and on his day he outperforms every single one of them.
Yeah,
you know. So how can we make Johnny Evans maybe play to 38, 39? Is that even something that we want?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's after heaping all of this praise on him all podcasts. It's difficult to say, you know, oh well, maybe we shouldn't do that. But I mean, at some point the guard has to change, right? We know that he's not going to be here long term. I think that what he should be doing is imparting his mentality, his knowledge, his wisdom on this newer generation. He's obviously leading by example, and that's really what we need. So I think that you need to look at pairing him up with different players, and, you know, getting a bit of playing time in with each of these young guys, and, you know, really helping them develop and understand what it's like to play with somebody of that caliber, right? Because, yes, I'd love to see him play until he's 38 or 39. And if he continues to do what he's doing whenever he is called upon, that's going to be great. But we're not going to see that, I just don't see that being, it's not going to be a long-term solution. We can't do it at the cost of developing some of these younger players. It needs to be done intelligently. We need to, basically take everything that Johnny Evans embodies and all of that prowess and experience and leadership, and that needs to go to somebody. And it needs to go to multiple somebodies, right? Martinez needs that. DeLitt has the potential to be, a captain for us in the future. He needs to be taking notes from Johnny Evans. And the best way to do that is to play next to him and understand what it's like to play with somebody of that caliber. So, yes, I think it would be great to have him longer, but I don't want to have him for so long that it's going to stymie the development of players like DeLitt, like Lenny Yoro, like Martinez. We're gonna have to pass the torch at some point.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to play 10 games in a row for us. I mean, I'm just trying to think of another outfield player that kind of had the same kind of experience, and it's like Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs couldn't play every game, but he still could turn. He actually changed position to go to the central midfield to give us what we needed. Like, I think he played till he was 40, didn't he? I can't.
Sounds about right.
So it's definitely possible, but he just leads by example. Ryan Giggs, the same kind of thing. I think Johnny Evans is made from the same cloth, and he might, like I said, he might not play for the next 2 games. It might take him longer to recover. But when he's got the time to recover and he's fit and able to play, he looked like he was half fit today, if I'm honest, with all the knocks and everything that he's got. So, given that he's got enough time to recover and he's fit enough to play, I think the performances that he gives us when he does play has been higher than any other defender that we've had so far this season. So, if we can have that over a prolonged period of time, maybe I wouldn't go back to his statistic. Maybe if he has like 50 to 20 appearances a season, but they're all of that quality, I mean that's probably one of the best squad players we've had in a long time. So
this is going to be really weird to say, but I think the other center back that we've had that has been consistent and has been performing at an okay level regularly has been Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where, you look at the depth chart again, I said it earlier in the podcast, that's not really like they are the players that you would expect based on everything that Eric Ten Hag does and how he set up this system. You would expect them to be a little bit lower on the totem pole, but then they come out and they have a performance like that. And how can you say no to that?
Yeah.
Like, how can you say this is not going to work in my setup whenever we still were, we didn't create as many chances, but we did create chances. We had opportunities. We made sure, we did everything that we could to limit the opportunities of Aston Villa today. And we did a really good job. And so, like, yes, we kind of packed in a little bit more and it stymied our offense a bit. But, overall, that's the type of defensive performance that we need to see week in and week out. And I know I'm kind of making your point here, even though I'm supposed to be saying against, but like, man, that was everything that I wanted to see defensively going right for a full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they didn't look out of position. They didn't look like they were getting beat for pace. And it comes down to positioning and awareness, right, of what the other player is going to be doing. Because if you look at last season, what was our most played center back pairing of last season?
Oh God, it was probably Martinez Maguire, wasn't it?
Well, Martinez was out for a significant portion of last season due to injury. So what ended up happening is Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire ended up playing a lot of games together. So this is a relationship that they built over the course of last season, just out of necessity, right? Like we rotated in Willie Kambwala. We had I think Luke Shaw had to fill in at left center back on occasion, but Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire are not unfamiliar on the pitch together, and so you can tell that they have an understanding of what the other person's going to be doing, and what their roles are in the setup. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, again, if we could just prolong that, especially until we finally sort out our defence and actually sort out who is going to be our next centre-back pairing, whether it be Euro or Martinez or Delit or other, if we bring another one in, I just think whatever we can do to look after Johnny Evans, because he's looked after us. Like, he didn't have to come back, and I just think we need to just wrap him up in cotton wool and keep him at the club as long as he's able. As long as he's not doing any long-term damage to himself like Phil Jones did to his knee cartilage or whatever. As long as he's fit and able to earn a wage, and actually, he should be getting a whole bunch of performance bonuses, by the way, as well. Like, again, it's just the level of performance is the highest that I've seen from a defender so far. I just want to see more of it. Whether it be more from Delit or Martinez or whoever else, I want to see more of those levels of performance. And yeah, I just think he's been fantastic. So what's that? I win again? Awesome. Love that. So you can see how this this concept works. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. We've been going on for an hour and a half already, like 90 minutes. So 90 plus 90 minutes. I hope you've all enjoyed the match today. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. Let us know what you think down below. Again, hit the follow button. When we get to 100, we are going to start a Discord channel. Sporadiclese, anything you want to say before we finish off?
Man, I think this is kind of been the season of unexpected resurgences from veterans, and honestly, man, I'm so here for it. So many good performances by Eriksson and Evans and Maguire, and I'm just really glad to see that there is still some passion for the badge. I think there's one veteran in particular that I wish could play a little bit better, but it is what it is, and I'm gonna say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hopeful that we are going to turn this thing around, and that we are going to have a decent season. I think you've got to improve on 8th, and looking forward to seeing how that comes to fruition, because it will. We'll come good.
Yeah, we'll hope so anyway. But anyway, thanks again for everything and all your support today. I hope, again, you enjoyed the videos. Show your support. We're on Rumble, YouTube. We're going on to Facebook and TikTok in the future. We're going to try and do some live streams as well, so stay tuned for more information on that. I've been TheSaffronMan. He's been Sporadiclese. And we'll see you guys again during the week. So thank you very much. Until then, we'll see you next time. Peace.